Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. My name is Dr. Irfan Nazir. I am Associate Professor of Urology. Today we are going to be discussing about a urological trauma. The organs that we talk about when we talk about urological trauma are the kidneys, ureter, bladder, and the urethra. And then the types of injury that can be present are either blunt abdominal injuries, sharp penetrating injuries, or iatrogenic injuries. Now, iatrogenic injuries are the injuries which are caused by medical professionals while they are operating for something. They inadvertently cause damage to some of the structures, which is then called iatrogenic injuries. Now, sharp penetrating injury you can imagine are firearm injuries, stab wounds, and blunt abdominal injuries are usually the injuries which result from road traffic accidents and any fight in which you are either punched or kicked in the abdomen. Now, the kidneys are retroperitoneal organs and they are cushioned by the perinephric fat. Anatomically, they are located in the lower thoracic and the upper lumbar vertebra, and they are covered laterally by the 10th and to the 12th rib. These are fixed organs. You see, they are only fixed at the renal hilum, that is the artery and the vein. The rest of the kidney obviously is mobile, there is no other attachment of the kidney. So you can understand that the hilum of the kidney is with the kidney, the artery, the renal artery and the renal vein are the thing which connects this kidney to the abdominal aorta, etc. So that obviously puts a lot of pressure on this in this place. Approximately 1.2 to 1.25 liters of blood circulate in each kidney per minute. So when talking about trauma, blunt abdominal trauma is the most common. It constitutes about 80 to 90% of all renal injuries. And I hope you understand what deceleration injury means. Deceleration injury is something, an injury which occurs when the patient is moving, and then if somebody is moving at, let's suppose, 60 kilometers an hour, and God forbid he has a road traffic accident in which the car hits some static vehicle or the wall or something like that. What happens is that from 60 kilometers an hour, the car comes to a complete halt immediately. So when the car comes to a complete halt, the person in himself is traveling at also 60 kilometers an hour, and when you stop, what happens is the internal organs in your body keep traveling at that pace, and that is known as the deceleration injury. For example, like I told you about the kidney, it is connected by the renal artery and the renal vein to the abdominal aorta. So just imagine that when you are traveling and it suddenly stops, these two structures stop and the kidney goes forward. So when the kidney goes forward, what happens is these two are tugged. The renal artery and renal vein are stretched. When they are stretched, then they can cause injury to the intima of the vessel. And when the intima is damaged, what happens is there is a clot formation, thrombus formation in the renal artery or renal vein. Now you can well understand that if that occurs, obviously due to this thrombus, the blood supply of the kidney is going to be cut off, and hence it will lead to ischemia of the kidney. So when will you expect that somebody who's had a road traffic accident has a renal trauma? Somebody who presents with injury to the lower back, to the front, in the lower chest region, and somebody who has a complaint of hematuria, or obviously if somebody has had trauma to the lumbar vertebra, etc. So now we'll briefly talk about the grading of the renal injuries. The grade 1 renal injury is in which there is hematoma but no contusion of the kidney. In grade 2, what happens is that there is a hematoma as well as a laceration, but the laceration is less than 1 centimeter. And then in grade 3, the laceration is more than 1 centimeter but does not involve the collecting system. In grade 4, the laceration can be any thickness, any depth, but it has to involve the collecting system. In grade 4, there is also a vascular injury, the one which I just explained, the deceleration injury in which the thrombus forms, and that is classified as grade 4. In grade 5, the kidney is shattered, and the whole kidney has multiple lacerations, and there's a big perinephric hematoma, and there's active blood loss. So this is called as grade 5 injury. To sum up the management will be mostly conservative. From grade 1 to 3, you have to manage conservatively. What will mean by conservative management? You have to do symptomatic treatment. If somebody has a loss of fluid, loss of blood, you will replace the blood. If somebody has pain, you will keep the patient pain free. If somebody has an active bleeding and the patient becomes some sort of hypotensive and tachycardic, then you will understand that this patient is having an ongoing hematuria, an ongoing bleeding from the injury. And in these patients, what you will do is you will replace the fluids and do serial hemoglobins and replace the loss of hemoglobin with blood. Okay, so this is in a nutshell how renal injury is managed. After this, we will come to the ureteric injury. Now, the ureteric injuries are most likely iatrogenic because ureters are narrow tubes which come from the kidney, drain into the renal pelvis, and then they go down in the abdomen down to the bladder. These are about 4 millimeter in diameter. Hence, because they are very fine, the chances of them getting injured by a stab or a gunshot wound is very low. The other thing is that posteriorly they rest on the iliopsoas muscle. Anteriorly, the whole abdomen is present, the gut, etc. So they are very well protected. So iatrogenic ureteric injury is something which means that you are doing an abdominal or retroperitoneal surgery for some reason and you inadvertently cut the ureter. Now, the ureteric injury is classified in grade 1, which is called as contusion or hematoma. Grade 2, in which there is less than 50% of the transaction. I told you that ureter is a pipe. If less than 50% of it is cut, then it means it is grade 2. If more than 50% it is cut, then it is grade 3. In grade 4, there is complete transaction, that is, the continuity of the tube is gone, but the devascularization is less than 2 centimeters. The interval of the devascularization of the ureter is less than 2 centimeters. In grade 5, there is complete transaction, that is the loss of continuity, and the devascularization is more than 2 centimeters. Okay. Now, what will be the treatment options? If remember one thing, that all ureteric injuries, when identified, need to be treated, okay, and all of them will require DJ stent placement. This is the rule. However, the injury is grade 1 to grade 5, whatever it is, you must place a DJ stent. A DJ stent is a tube made of plastic which starts from the kidney, goes down into the bladder through the ureter, and you have to place a DJ stent. If it is a needle prick injury, you do not need to do anything. If it's a laceration, you have to stent and you have to do a tension-free anastomosis. That is, you have to apply stitches and you have to place a stent. If it is a crush injury, and in those also you have to place a stent. In devascularization, now remember, why is devascularization important? Devascularization is important because whenever there is devascularization, there will be a resultant ischemic stricture at that point. So if there is a stricture in the ureter, what will it cause? It will cause difficulty in urine to pass from the kidney to the bladder, which will in turn lead to pressure on the kidney and damage of the kidney. Okay. Now, if there is Devascularization, you have to resect the devascularized ureter, anastomose the vascular margins, and place a TJ stent. Similarly, in thermal injury, similarly in partial transaction, in complete transaction, obviously again, you have to resect the ischemic area and re-anastomose the ureter. Sometimes if the distance between the vascularized ureter is more than 2 centimeter, you may need to do other procedures rather than just ureteric anastomosis. You may have to place a loop of bowel within it, or you may even have to make a flap out of the bladder, which is called a Boari flap. So this is all about ureteric injuries. Then coming to the bladder injuries. The bladder injuries, to be very brief and specific, you can classify bladder injuries into two groups. One is extraperitoneal bladder injury and one is intraperitoneal bladder injury. For the extraperitoneal bladder injury, you just need to drain the bladder. You need to put a wide catheter in, a 22-24 French catheter, and you need to put in a pelvic drain. Now what will happen is, if it is extraperitoneal, then it will continue to leak. If you put in a good Foley's catheter in, that will be the route of least resistance, hence the urine will follow that. But obviously there will be some leakage, so the pelvic drain will take care of it. So eventually, after about 2 weeks, what will happen is the leakage from the bladder, it will seal, and all the urine will start coming from the bladder, from the urethra, and your injury would have healed. But if you have the other kind of bladder injury, which is the peritoneal injury, intraperitoneal bladder rupture, you have to operate, you have to fix it, because the urine will go into the peritoneum, it will cause peritonitis, and it will not heal. Okay, so in that case, you have to do an exploration, repair the injury in the bladder, put in an extravesical drain, and put in a Foley's catheter. And that Foley's catheter will remain in for 2 to 3 weeks, mostly 2. 2 weeks is enough. In the recent literature, in the recent guidelines, even 1 week is said to be enough. What you do after 1 week is you put in a contrast, you do a cystogram. If there is no leakage, you just take the catheter out. So that is how you treat the bladder injuries. Now coming to the urethral trauma. Urethral trauma is in males, obviously it is more common because the male urethra is longer and it is more susceptible to injuries in road traffic accidents, especially in those patients who have pelvic injuries. So any male who has a pelvic injury, you must always suspect a urethral injury along with it. How will the patient present? In the emergency, when the patient presents, they will say that I am not being able to pass urine and I have blood in my urine, and when you examine them, you will see blood at the urethral meatus. The most important examination point in this patient is doing a digital rectal examination. Now, if you normally do a digital rectal examination, when you insert your finger into the anal canal, you will feel the prostate immediately. But if you cannot feel the prostate, then this is called a high riding prostate. High riding prostate means that the prostate is anchored to the pelvic bone by a ligament. And when the pelvic fracture takes place, that ligament is torn. When that ligament is torn, the bladder floats away from the pelvis. And this goes with the prostate. The prostate floats away from the pelvis with the bladder. So that is why you can't feel the prostate. That is called a high riding prostate. So male urethra has 4 parts generally. The prostatic urethra, followed by the membranous urethra, followed by the bulbar urethra, followed by the penile urethra. So the commonest place for the urethral injury to occur is the membranous urethra. That is the most susceptible to trauma. And this is where it is anchored to the pubic bone, and this is where it rips apart. Okay, so anybody who is involved in a road traffic accident who has pelvic injuries, you must expect them to have urethral injury. The most important points in the treatment are: never put a catheter in a patient, a urethral catheter into a patient in which there is blood at the tip of the meatus. Never ever do that, because what you can do is you can complicate the injury which has already occurred. So talking about the grades of the urethral injury, grade 1 is contusion, in which there is blood at the urethral meatus and there is just contusion. You can say just hematoma of the urethra. In grade 2, there is stretch of the urethra, but there is no disruption of the continuity of the urethra. In grade 3, there is partial disruption of the urethra, and there is extravasation at the site of the injury. In grade 4, there is complete disruption with less than 2 centimeter distraction. Okay, the urethra continuity is lost and less than 2 centimeter apart. In grade 5, it is complete disruption, and the defect between the two ends of the urethra is more than 2 centimeter. That is when the bladder floats away. So essentially what you have to understand is, in grade 1 to 3, if you can do a flexible cystoscopy, you put in a Foley's catheter, and that will take care of the urethral injury. Okay. In grade 4 and 5 especially, you have to wait. You have to wait for the pelvic hematoma to settle so that you can bring the bladder down and anastomose it to the urethra itself. So urethroplasty is required in grade 4 and 5. Okay. So this is briefly the lecture on urological trauma. If you have any questions, you can always ask me. Thank you so much.